Barnaby the little bear cub loved sunny days in the whispering woods. He loved to chase butterflies with wings like colorful confetti and roll in the soft green grass. One sunny morning, Barnaby was trotting along a path when he saw something new. It was a tall wooden sign, and on it were funny shapes he'd never seen before. "Grr-hum," Barnaby mumbled, tilting his head. He poked the sign with his nose. The shapes didn't smell like berries, and they didn't buzz like bees. What could they be? Just then, a wise old owl fluttered down from a tall oak tree. It was Professor Hoot, who knew almost everything. "Hoo-hoo, Barnaby, what have you found there?" Professor Hoot asked, his big round eyes blinking kindly. "Professor Hoot," Barnaby chirped, "look, funny shapes. What are they?" Professor Hoot chuckled. "Those, my little friend, are letters. Letters are very special. When you put them together, they make words, and words tell us stories and all sorts of exciting things." Barnaby's eyes grow wide. "Stories? Like the ones Mama Bear tells at bedtime?" "Exactly like those," said Professor Hoot. "Would you like to learn about these letters? We can learn the whole alphabet, step by step." "Oh, yes, please!" Barnaby bounced on his paws, his little tail wiggling with excitement. "Wonderful!" Professor Hoot hooted softly. "Let's start with the very first letter. It's called A." Professor Hoot drew a big A in the dirt with a twig. "Can you say A? It sounds like ah, as in apple. Do you like apples, Barnaby?" Barnaby licked his lips. Apples, red and crunchy. He looked at the A. "Ah, apple." "Excellent," praised Professor Hoot. "Now for the next letter. This is B." He drew a B next to the A. B sounds like B, as in bee, buzzing by. And B is for bear, just like you, Barnaby. Barnaby bear. A little bumblebee buzzed past, and Barnaby pointed. "Look, Professor, a bee." "You're a fast learner," Professor Hoot said. Next comes C. It makes a K sound, like in cat or cloud. He pointed his wing up to the sky. "See that big fluffy cloud, Barnaby?" Barnaby looked up. Cloud! It looks like soft cotton." "Indeed it does. And after C comes D," Professor Hoot continued, drawing a D. D says duh, like a little drum. Duh, duh, duh. D is for duck, quacking in the pond, and for daisy, that pretty white flower right there. He pointed to a patch of daisies. Barnaby waddled over and sniffed a daisy. Daisy, it smells so nice." Professor Hoot smiled. "You're doing wonderfully. Are you ready for more letters?" Barnaby nodded eagerly, his fur fluffing with excitement. "All right then, next we have E," said Professor Hoot, scratching an E into the earth. "E can say like in egg. Mama bird keeps her eggs safe in her nest." He pointed to a nest high in a tree. And E is also for elephant, a big animal with a long trunk. Maybe you have a toy elephant? Barnaby thought for a moment. "Yes, my elephant toy is gray and has big ears. Egg, elephant." "Perfect," hooted Professor Hoot. After E comes F. F makes a soft f sound, like the wind. F is for flower, like the ones you love to sniff, and F is for fish swimming in the river. Flower. Barnaby sniffed a bright red poppy nearby. And fish. They go glub glub. "You've got it," chuckled Professor Hoot. "Now for G. G says guh, like a little gulp. G is for grass, all green and soft under your paws. And G is for goat, who might say "ma-ma" and munch on that grass. Barnaby wiggled his toes in the grass. Grass, it tickles. It does, doesn't it? And after G comes H. H is a breathy sound, ha. H is for hat, to keep the sun off your head. And most importantly for a little bear, H is for honey. Barnaby's eyes lit up. Honey, my favorite. He licked his lips again, imagining a big pot of golden honey. "I thought you'd like that one," Professor Hoot said with a twinkle in his eye. "We are learning so much. Ready for the next set?" Barnaby nodded, his mind buzzing like a happy bee. "Okay, here is I," said Professor Hoot, drawing it carefully. I can sound like I, as in igloo, a house made of ice, or I, like when you say ice cream. Oh, what a yummy treat. Igloo, brr, cold, Barnaby shivered playfully. Ice cream. I love strawberry ice cream. Me too, hooted Professor Hoot. Next is J. J says ja, like when you jump for joy. And J is for juice, sweet and fruity, and jam on your toast. Barnaby did a little jump. Jump, juice. "That's the spirit," said Professor Hoot. Then we have K. K makes a k sound, just like C sometimes. K is for kite, flying high in the sky, and K is for king, who wears a shiny crown. Professor Hoot picked up a big leaf and gently placed it on Barnaby's head. "You can be King Barnaby." Barnaby giggled, the leaf crown wobbling. Kite, King Barnaby." "A very fine king indeed," said Professor Hoot. And L comes next. L says "l" with your tongue up high. L is for leaf, like your crown, and for a brave lion with a mighty roar, though we only have toy lions in our woods, thankfully. Barnaby touched his leaf crown. Leaf, lion, roar," he whispered. Professor Hoot ruffled his feathers. My, Barnaby, you're becoming an alphabet expert. Shall we continue our adventure?" "Yes, please," Barnaby exclaimed. The world of letters was so much fun. "Very well. Here comes M," said Professor Hoot, sketching an M with its two pointy mountains. M says a sound you make when something is yummy. M is for moon that shines at night and for a tiny mouse that might squeak eek, eek. Moon. Barnaby looked up as if he could see it. Mouse. I saw a little mouse scurrying yesterday. "You did. How observant," said Professor Hoot. Next is N. N says n with your tongue touching the top of your mouth. N is for nose, which you use to smell all those lovely flowers, and N is for nest, where birds lay their eggs. Barnaby touched his little black nose. Nose, and nest, like the one with the eggs. "Exactly," Professor Hoot hooted. And then we have O. O can say O as in owl, like me, and ah as in octopus with 8 long arms, or orange, the fruit and the color. Barnaby looked at Professor Hoot. "Oh, owl, and ah, orange. I love orange juice." "Splendid," said Professor Hoot. And here is P. P makes a p sound, like a little puff of air. P is for pig, who says oink oink, and P is for pear, another juicy fruit. Pig, Barnaby made a little oink sound. Pear, yummy. Professor Hoot nodded. We are getting close to the end of our alphabet journey for today. Next is Q. Q often comes with a friend, the letter U, and together they say qu. Q is for queen, who is a king's special friend, and for a cozy quilt to keep you warm. Barnaby snuggled into his fur as if he had a quilt. Queen, quilt. Very good. Then comes R, Professor Hoot continued. R makes a sound, like a little growl. R is for rabbit with long ears and a fluffy tail, and R is for rain that makes puddles to splash in. Rabbit. Barnaby twitched his nose like a rabbit. Rain. Splash, splash. You are so playful, Professor Hoot said. Now for S. S makes a hissing sound, s, like a friendly snake. S is for sun, that warms us all, and for star, that twinkles at night. Barnaby looked up at the bright sun. Sun and star, twinkle, twinkle. Almost there, Professor Hoot encouraged. T is next. T says t. T is for tree, tall and strong, like the one I live in, and T is for turtle, who carries his house on his back. Barnaby patted the trunk of a nearby tree. Tree, and turtle, slow and steady. Just a few more letters, brave explorer, said Professor Hoot. Here is U. U can say as in umbrella, to keep you dry from the rain, and it can say U, as in unicorn, a magical horse with one horn. Umbrella. Barnaby pretended to hold one up. Unicorn. Wow, magical. Indeed. Then comes V, said Professor Hoot. V says v, like a buzzing motor. V is for van, a car that carries things, and V is for violet, a pretty purple flower. Barnaby made a buzzing sound. Van, vroom, vroom, and violet. Excellent buzzing, chuckled Professor Hoot. W is next. W says w. W is for water, for drinking and splashing, and W is for worm, wiggling in the dirt. Water. Barnaby pretended to take a sip. Worm, wiggle, wiggle. Now for a tricky one, but fun, said Professor Hoot. This is X. X often makes a x sound, like at the end of box or fox. Can you think of a fox? Barnaby thought hard. A sly fox. X, x, x. You got it, hooted Professor Hoot. Just two more. Here is Y. Y says y. Y is for yellow, the color of the sun, and for saying yes when you're happy. Barnaby jumped up and down. Yellow, like dandelions, and yes, I am happy. And last but not least, Professor Hoot announced proudly, is Z. Z makes a zzz sound, like a sleepy bee. Z is for zebra with black and white stripes, and for zoo, where you can see many animals. Zebra. Barnaby yawned a little. It had been a big learning adventure. Zoo. Professor Hoot smiled warmly. Barnaby, you have learned all the letters of the alphabet from A to Z. You are so clever. Barnaby beamed. The funny shapes on the sign weren't just funny shapes anymore. They were letters, and letters made words. He couldn't wait to find more letters and learn more words. Thank you, Professor Hoot, Barnaby said, giving the owl a gentle bear hug, careful of his feathers. Well, careful of his feathers. Hoo, you are most welcome, little one, Professor Hoot said. Remember, the whole world is full of letters waiting for you to discover them. Keep practicing, and soon you'll be reading all by yourself. Barnaby the little bear cub skipped all the way home, saying the sounds of the letters he had learned. Ah, ba, k, duh. He knew this was just the beginning of many wonderful wordy adventures in the Whispering Woods. If you enjoyed the story, please like the video and subscribe to the channel.